Now you may be asking, which one is the real Carol Ostrow? I've asked myself that many times. Well, we've all gone through a terrible time together through this pandemic. It's been so terrible that we've all been depressed. And in order for me not to feel depressed and to want to slit my throat and my wrists, which is getting a little too dramatic, I would call my friends. And they were going through the same thing. All of us were. So with tears in my eyes, but joy and laughter in my heart, I took a pen and I started writing about my feelings. Some are fun and some are not, but I think you're going to enjoy it. And they make fabulous gifts for Christmas and Hanukkah. But we'll get through it. We'll get through it together. And if you buy poems from my pandemic pen, it may make your life a little easier and certainly give you humor.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome. We're so happy that you're joining us tonight. And I promise this evening is going to be fun and entertaining. And now you're actually going to meet live the real Carol Ostrow. I feel like we had so many Carols here for everyone to meet, right?
So nice to be here.
Oh, this is going to be so much fun tonight. And before we start talking about your wonderful book of poems, I want to tell our viewers who may not know you a little bit more about you. Carol has been in show business literally her entire life. She was Miss Brooklyn when she was 5 years old. She's been a Las Vegas showgirl, a high fashion model, and now she's an accomplished off-Broadway producer. She's produced over 30 shows, including I Am Anne Frank, Afterplay, and she's also produced over 20 theatrical fundraisers and still counting for her beloved Actors Temple. She has her own film company and creates videos for her favorite charities. And now, in addition to all of your other talents, Carol, you're now a poet. Yay! I know. So, Carol, I fell in love with your poems. And I'm just so honored that we got a chance to publish them. They're humorous, they're witty, they're reflective. Some of them are poignant. They cover the gamut from your expanding dairy, but believe me, we're all related to that. The art of folding toilet paper, reflections on ex-lovers, growing older, and the importance of friends. And we have some of those friends actually joining us here tonight. So let's start by asking you, how, during a pandemic, did you discover you had a talent for writing poetry?
Well, first of all, thank you, Cheryl, so much for doing this, and Three Tomatoes for having enough faith in me to publish my poems, and to all the friends who are participating this evening, and especially to the audience that is giving their time to watch this. How did I become a poet? Well, I'll be darned if I know, frankly. But like anything else in my life, and probably yours too, when you need something and things are so difficult out there in the world, if you look inside, you find everything you need. And I, at various and sundry times in my life, had to pull out a lot of stuff. So here I was with everybody else in bed, worried about what was going on. There was a pandemic outside, which is still there, trying to kill us. And I can't go to work, I can't produce, I can't do all the things that made me feel that I was a contributing human being. I mean, nothing. Sometimes I never got out of bed, and God forgive me, I didn't even brush my teeth. I was that stressed. But then my friend Paula called, and I think she's watching. She called and said that she was cleaning her closets, and it gave her some sense of control over her life. So I said, aha. If that's what it takes, I'm going to clean my closets. I'm going to clean my drawers, straighten things out. And then I got to the bathroom and I started with my hands and knees and a toothbrush, and I'm cleaning. Something I swore I would never do as a grown-up. But I remembered that when I was 11 or 12, my mother, and maybe more, my mother was working with my father in the restaurant business. And I'll make a long story short. But it was my responsibility to come home from school, clean the house, start the dinner, clean the bathroom. And I swore then I would never do it. So here I am as an adult woman enjoying cleaning. It looked beautiful. It sparkled. Nobody can clean toilets better than me. And I thought it was so
Another talent.
Another talent that I didn't enjoy when my mother told me to do it. So I wrote about it. I sent it to friends. They all laughed because we're all going through the same thing. It's not original to me. They enjoyed it. And I thought, well, it's making people laugh. It's good enough for me. I'm going to keep writing. And I did.
Well, that's great. And let's talk a little bit about those friends, because you had a lot of friends who were encouraging you, and you were actually sending them poems almost every day. And you actually started a Doing Poets email chain, which was kind of fun. So tell us a little bit about that too.
Well, I can't believe they put up with me, because sometimes I would write 3 a day. Something came into my mind. I had to express it. Better than calling a shrink and paying a lot of money for therapy. This was cathartic. So I sent poems to 3 of the ladies that you're going to meet tonight: Sandi Durell, Sandra Maddox-Schatz, and Shari Uppen. And lo and behold, these undiscovered poetesses would write me back on the same subject. And it would go back and forth, and we were hysterical. And time would fly by. The day was over. And it wasn't just the day, it was the week, it was the months. And we all somehow enjoyed ourselves, and they discovered how fabulous they were too. I'm not fabulous, I'm just what I am. And it's fun, and we all enjoyed it at a very difficult time. And that's what friendship is: helping each other, enjoying each other, and being so supportive. And they were and are.
And that's great. And we're going to meet some of those friends tonight. And that's another one of the things that I so love about your book, because really the importance of friendship really came through loud and clear. And now you're going to read us a few of your poems tonight. So do you want to start off with your first selection tonight?
And appropriately enough, it's called There Is Nothing Like a Friend. And I don't want to cry, because they mean so much to me. They're my chosen family. This morning I woke up quite perplexed, thinking, what in the world is coming next? Should I make this into an email or a text? We know enough about dangers and fears that fill our days in newspapers and ears. Listening to TV pundits brings me to tears that perhaps this pandemic will last for years, but hold on. I know we see horror, sadness, and pain as ordinary as a prediction of today it will rain. Hold on. It isn't that I'm looking for a distraction. I don't want to waste time with little or no action. To make this planet a better place, I want to contribute with love and grace. How? Hold on. So now I've become an information hoarder, which could easily turn into an anxiety disorder. No one has asked for my sage advice, but if you're reading this, it should entice. Call your family or just a friend, please. Share your feelings. The fears will ease. And hold on. Share all your thoughts, as in the end, you have this network on which to depend. Hold on. I'm grateful to everyone I call a friend.
And that was just so beautiful. I know everyone is
listening
to that is so touched. So now we're going to bring in our first guest, and one of your friends who also happens to be a friend of mine, and it's Jane Goldman. Jane was actually our first author, and we were so honored to publish her first book and ours under our publishing title, With No Regrets: Getting Older, Face It, Live It, Love It. It was published a little over a year ago. I'm going to bring Jane in here right now as I talk about her. Hey Jane.
Hey, Jane.
And Carol, you had said that Jane publishing her book, it actually inspired you to actually think about publishing yours as well. So Jane is also a lawyer, and she's a longtime friend of Carol's. And in fact, when you first met Carol, she was producing a play, and then you happened to end up on the same cruise ship to Russia. And that's where you really, really became good friends. So Jane, thank you for joining us tonight.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. We didn't wind up just on the same cruise ship. We wound up at the same table. And that was like an incredible time to get to know Carol.
And Jane, all of this is your fault.
I know,
all of this.
But my book may have been titled With No Regrets. But one thing I have no regrets about is writing the book. And if it inspired you, then I feel very happy about that. So what I want to talk about a little bit is not just about the book, but we've been friends for 20 years, whatever, and close, very good friends. But I think that none of us really know who our friends exactly are, who even ourselves are, until push comes to shove. And that's when life changes on a dime. And I think for all of us on the line and all of us who have spoken with each other know this is that time when life changes on the dime. And when I found out about you, Carol, no surprises. I knew you were optimistic, strong, and all that. But it's one thing to know it. It's another thing to watch it be demonstrated. Now, when this happened, of course, you were in group sales. You had a business that you created, which is dependent on live theater. And then, too, through Randy Levine Miller, a mutual friend of ours, you got involved in the Actors Temple, and you were wanting it to celebrate not just 100 years, which it was getting to be, but another 100 years, and you knew it needed a lot more congregants. And then the pandemic comes, and there's no live theater, so no group sales, no single theater sales, and there's no congregants. Well, they may be congregants, but no door to let them in. But what did you do? You could have slit your throat. Happily you didn't, because then we would all not be able to celebrate what you accomplished. And you didn't lie in bed just eating popcorn, drinking wine. But what you did was two things. For the temple, you started creating all these great videos of the early actors who went there at the beginning and were the reasons that there was an Actors Temple. And you sent it and you brought that to your congregants and others to help remind people of the temple. But I think, and you talked about this at the beginning, what you did, which I think is as inspiring as your words in your poems, what you did is you looked into yourself and you found this talent that you say you might have had as a child of writing poetry, but which you hadn't done. You wrote prose, you've written a lot of things, you're a good writer, but you hadn't written poems, but you found that in yourself. And I think that's not just, your words aren't just inspiring to us, but you doing that, and then you began to send it, yes, you sent it to us daily. It was like you were like an addict. It was like an addiction. And it was wonderful that, nothing to get Neiman Marcus things about sales every day. It was one thing I looked forward to getting your poems every day, and I saved every one of them in the hope that one day it might become a book, and it did. So I think that in addition to your words, I think it's a time for all of us to take a lesson from that about looking into ourselves and finding things that not only help us survive what might be very dark days ahead of all of us still, but about things we might thrive on, because we may find things that we didn't even know we had. And I think you just said it at the beginning. You found this back in yourself. And I celebrate you for producing such a beautiful thing and to be talking and sharing it. And I do want to say about the poems themselves, they're about life, love, living through the pandemic. They're raw, they're honest, they come from your soul, come from your gut. And they're really things that comfort us. They make us laugh. They make us cry. They're real. They're honest, and something that I think for each of us will comfort us. We're not alone when you read your words. We all feel like we're connected. And I think that we should share it not only among our own families, but friends, to bring to them some of the joy and comfort you brought to us. So thank you, Carol, so much for doing that.
Thank you. Thank you, my darling friend. Thank you so much.
That was so beautifully said.
Beautiful.
It's perfect, Jane, right? So now we're going to be treated to another one of your poems.
All right. This one I call All Alone When No One Was Looking. When no one was looking, I did not brush my teeth. When no one was looking, I hid my Van Cleef. When no one was looking, I stayed hours in bed. When no one was looking, from my true self, I fled. This is not right. Get up this day. Look in the mirror and start to pray. Thank you, dear God, let me say. I have so much to be grateful for, that life has given me so much more. When you stop thinking only of self, you put that fear upon a shelf. Call, spread joy, show someone you care. One day it's over this awful nightmare. With love and appreciation to all my friends I share.
Another beautiful choice.
Thank you.
And now I'm going to bring in another friend of yours. We have
Aha.
Arlene Herson. Arlene is another one of your many talented friends. You have a lot of those for sure. Arlene is the producer and host of the award-winning cable television program, The Arlene Herson Show, which features one-on-one interviews with celebrities like Tony Bennett, Suzanne Summers, Johnny Mathis, and many others. Arlene and Carol met many years ago on a rooftop in New York City with some other Broadway people. And Arlene says it was love at first sight. So Arlene, thanks for joining us.
True. Arlene, you're muted. There you go.
All right, am I back? So I want to say
You're
how happy
back.
I am. Good, and I'm so happy to be here to honor you, Carol, because we met actually, as was said, on a rooftop. To celebrate, sukkah, to celebrate the Jewish holidays, which was actually sponsored by a group called Minion of the Stars. And it was for show business people who did not have family in town to spend the Jewish holidays with. So I walked up the stairs, got to this rooftop, sat next to this absolutely beautiful redhead, who we all now know is Carol Ostrow, and it was at first sight. We connected right away. I mean, it's a connection that I value and will have my whole life. So I know a lot about her. I know her a long, long time. We won't even say how long because each of us are getting younger every year, right? I know so much about her, knowing her for so long. So I know about her career as a showgirl in Vegas. I know about her successful modeling career and her business in Washington, D.C. I know about her producing theater in New York City, and of course, her amazing work for the Actors Temple right here in Manhattan. But what I did not know Carol was a poet. So I have a copy of the book.
I didn't know it either. Oh, no.
Every day when I would get, and sometimes more than once a day in my email, I get a poem, I would say, yes, why didn't I think about it? Yes, that is perfect. So the way Carol looks at the world, it's insightful, it's humorous, it's meaningful. Carol's poems make me think, they make me smile, they give me insight into the important things that are happening in our world today. She just gets it right on. I will never look at toilet paper the same way again. Every time I have to fold it I think about Carol's poem, and I'm glad Carol, you're with me a lot. So, but I treasure my relationship with Carol. I mean, she makes my world a better place. Carol knows how to be a friend. She stays in touch. She cares. She is so smart. She's a problem solver. She's the kind of person that you can depend upon. So the time that I spend with Carol is so precious. When I come into New York City, which is where I used to live and thought I would always live in Manhattan, but I don't. But when I come to New York, Carol makes it a happening. I mean, it is unbelievable what she does for me. She makes me feel special because she is special. So it seems every day, who knows what else I'm going to learn about Carol because so much more, Carol, because you have said, quote, when the world shuts down, what do? You write poems, unquote. Well, for Carol Ostrow, the world is never shutting down. And hopefully I will be there to share it with you. I'm so proud of you, my friend. I love you so much.
I love you so much. Thank you. I'm going to cry.
That was very beautiful. Thank you so much, Arlene. So, Carol, before you start tearing up again, you've got another poem we want to hear, and this one is called, I love this one, Guilt is a Waste of Time. So true.
Here, here. In this day of corona disease, I consume comfort food, if you please. What saves my life, certainly not dietish, is a bagel, tomato, and fresh tuna fish. Oozing cheese on buttered bread does more for me than going to bed. This reaction sure does play with my head. I hate the thought of what calories will do, but now, who cares? I'm not feeling blue. Martha's cookies, called kitchen sink, put me in the mood you'd call pretty pink. Raisins and almonds and brown sugar now is so much better than the average of Dow. My hind quarters are about to grow in size. But wearing pajamas, I do realize that 2020 in my hindsight will be the time of terrible fright. But, oh my Lord, I put up a fight. Never forget that weight can be lost, but mental health is worth the cost. Bring on that cake with buttercream frost. Does this entice? Will you share a slice? I love that one.
I'm ready for that slice right now. You just made me hungry. So now we're going to bring in actually another mutual friend of ours and a longtime friend of Sandy's, of Carol's. We have Sandi Durell. Sandi is the publisher.
Hi, Sandi.
Publisher, editor, and she's a critic at theaterpizzazz.com, an entertainment website that covers theater and cabaret. We hope that comes back soon so you can start covering it
Please,
again.
God.
That's for sure. And she's also been the cabaret contributor for many years now at the Three Tomatoes, which has been terrific too. Sandi is a member of the Drama Desk, the Outer Critics Circle Awards, and she recently featured several of Carol's poems at her website. And that kind of is really what spearheaded got things going for the concept of the book. And Sandi was another one of the dueling poets.
Yes.
I don't know how much dueling I did because you certainly had a lot of good duelers there when you began this. But
there's nothing like my friend Sandi and all that you did for me and my work. Thank you, my darling.
Congratulations, Carol. This is just so wonderful. You're a phenomenon is all I can say because, I mean, you are. I met you several years back through our mutual friend and my producing partner, Shari Uppen, and so happy that I did. And by the way, cleaning is very good. But think about it as exercise. That's what I do.
Especially with a toothbrush in the corner.
I don't know about the toothbrush, but I do want to say that, when you began writing poetry, of course, is when we had a discussion about, okay, well, let's kind of expand this into something more. So not only did you write poetry, but you created what became a 4-part series about Carol Ostrow. And it was amazing. It really was. I mean, aside from, we all know, a Las Vegas showgirl, a top model, a producer, and more importantly, I think than anything, a good friend to so many whose lives you've made happier because you're a giving and very special lady. And because of that, I was so happy, to be able to read everything you send to me, and with very few edits. It was really a no holds barred look into your amazing life from the time you were a child. And I have to say, I'm sure that a lot of what you wrote raised eyebrows. and elicited a lot of chuckles. But more importantly, you got a lot of bravas from so many friends, readers, and each article, of course, was accompanied by a poem. And you just got better and better and better in what you were actually doing. Your honesty, your truthfulness always came through, front and center, pouring at your heart, pouring at your soul. That pandemic pen knows no bounds. And so we do call you Madame President because you are the lifeline of, in reality, that keeps the Actors Temple alive and going and growing, the place that you call, and I love this, the jewel of a shul.
Yeah.
And the fact is the matter that you're beautiful inside, but you're full of spit and vinegar. And you're like, what's going on? It's Carol. And I'm just going to say, everybody's going to love your book of poetry because, and I got it, you see, I got it. And I do believe that we're certainly going to see a second coming because it's just going on and on and on, as you should, because it does so much for so many, especially for you. So, Carol, you're an amazing woman. I'm so happy to be here to talk about you.
Thank you so much, Sandi.
That was beautiful, Sandi. Thank you. Thanks, Sandi. Wow, this is so great. It's so exciting. What wonderful friends you have, but that's because you've been a wonderful friend to them and you can see that coming right back at you. So yeah, you have another poem. I think this one is Times Change, which is for sure.
Yeah, and no holes barred, so watch out. Times change. When I was younger, the style was no tushy, no titties. Now I see girls much younger than little kitties and cannot believe my big brown eyes. Well, with contacts as blue as the clearest skies. I look at in wonder what nature has now provided, or whatever a surgeon has definitely decided. The most extraordinary body images ever. When did a huge, distorted derriere become the look of the century over here? How did a female the size of a stick develop huge boobies like a magic trick? Sorry, I laugh at my own words. I love that bigger has become better now, with more natural looks and a thicker brow. No more dieting to the nth degree. A little more flesh is more natural for me. But that pendulum will eventually swing, and I wonder what the future will surely bring. So many changes that will be in store, as it makes no difference if that girl is a boy anymore. So let's only care about being kind to each other. We cannot be sure if that dress is on a father or a mother. Let's get off that judgment kicker. I'm off to get a girdle to make my backside thicker. Forgive me.
Well, we're all laughing along with you in the background. Sandi Durell. I'm watching you. I don't want you to think you're alone laughing there.
I thought I was.
So now I'm going to bring in another one of your friends, another longtime friend too.
Okay.
And we have Sandra Maddock. And Sandra and Carol, they go back to their modeling days in Washington, D.C., where they forged an immediate bond. And it was during those days when Carol actually also started producing runway shows for charity events. And as Sandra said, they would get thousands of people. These are huge events. And that was really the start of your producing career. And I also understand that, Sandra, that it was Carol. And let me take you off mute here. I notice that you're muted here. So when you start talking, that Carol also set you up on a blind date with the guy who's now your husband. So that's terrific.
right.
Oh, the
What was that?
I don't know. You were one of the dueling poets too. So let me move off screen and hope, when things are live, anything can happen. So
That's
here
right.
we go.
Okay. So
Hi, Sandra.
what's happening? I don't know why. What a shame. Ooh. Don't know.
Well, I want you all to know that Sandra was one of, and still is, the most beautiful women alive, and she was known as the Shiksa goddess. Now you're on mute. Oh no. Better. Okay. Yes.
So Carol, I don't know what's going on. This is too bad.
Oh, I don't know.
Sandra, I'm going to suggest that that you go out and come back in, and we'll bring you back, and we'll have Carol read another poem.
Okay, I'll do
So
that.
let's do that. So we've got, what is your next poem?
I have plenty to choose from.
I know. Well,
How about enough is enough already? Okay. Could this be a metaphor for a full-fledged whore who wants to buy more and more clothes to do absolutely nothing? I have to be quick, an outfit to pick, to watch films on Netflix, and walk to the refrigerator, then back again to become a raider of a hidden box of dark chocolates. Oh, woe is me. I used to be considered a true winner. Now all I dream of is how to look thinner. Presently, this is my favorite rant. Does my tush look big in this pant? Oh well, all I think about for sure is the hope this virus will end in a cure. Then we can redeem a long-held dream of seeing each other again. But when? If not, feel free to visit me in the nearest loony bin. Maybe then I'll be thin. But remember, wear a mask.
all right. So now I see Sandra's back. Let's try to bring Sandra back in and see if we got rid of the feedback, I hope.
Okay.
Is the feedback still there?
It is.
I wonder why.
Okay, so you know what we're going to do, because I don't know how to fix Sandra's feedback. I'm really sorry, but we have no shortage of friends here. Like poems, we have no shortage of friends here. So I'm now going to bring in another one of your wonderful friends, Sherry Upton. Sherry is another one of your theater colleagues. She's the past president of the League of Professional Theater Women. And like Carol, she's an off-Broadway producer. She's also a director of several award-winning musicals. And for many years, she had a production company with Sandi Durell, and they produced a wonderful series called Timeless Divas that had people like Leslie Uggam and Kathy Lee Gifford. And by the way, she's also a past president of the National Society of Arts and Letters. So I think she could certainly qualify to critique your poems, which I know she's loved. And I know you were another one of the dueling poets too. So thanks for being here tonight.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. I hope I make it without all the bells and whistles that happen. Carol, I am not surprised by anything that you do. If Carol said, I just designed a gown for, say, yes to the dress, I would say, okay. If she said, I have a painting in the Louvre, I would say, what floor? Nothing surprises me with Carol, but you know, she has the most amazing generosity of spirit. She is a philanthropist. She is the most giving person that I have ever met, a very real person. And for someone who stayed in bed and ate bonbons, you sure look good, kid. For example, we were on one of our lunches, or it could have been dinners, And I said to Carol, Carol, that ring you're wearing is just so beautiful. This is the ring. Who gave it to me? She said, if you like it, then you should have it. And I took it. So I can't wait for another lunch or dinner. See what I'm but as far as her generosity of spirit, I once had, just a little dilemma. And I said to Carol, Carol, do you think you can help me with this problem? And I presented it to her. And Carol, spit and vinegar, didn't even think. And she said, this is what you do, A, B, C, and D. I listened to Carol, and she actually changed my life. And I wanted to thank you for it. And don't cry now. Now, as far as being a dueling, whatever it is, here's a little something for you. And it's called Ode to Carol. Throughout the pandemic, our Carol has gleaned her hopes and her fears and her possible dreams of the world minus COVID, where safely we loomed, so taken for granted, and nobody zoomed, where a plus in our bed gave us a hug, no fears and no wet wipes to kill all those bugs, lipstick and liner and a face with no mask, and without one, we weren't taken to task. She churned daily lemons to fresh lemonade, and a book through it all was so fabulously made. Congratulations to my beautiful friend for a great beginning and never the end. And that's all she wrote, folks.
You see what I'm up against?
That was great. That was great.
Friend
I think there's some more. I think there's some more.
I want the ring
books
back.
here.
How did I give that to you? It's gorgeous.
Well, thank you, Sherry. We'll see you back here in a few minutes. And honestly, you have so many talented friends. I think there's got to be the book of the dueling poets poetry here someplace.
Yes.
And you have another beautiful, I think, last poem that you're going to share with us tonight. And this one is really so special. It's called Appreciating Life. And gosh, do we all relate to that right now.
So my friend called me yesterday. She said, get out of bed and let's play, okay? Yes, I agreed and started to proceed with everything I could possibly need. This was an unexpected adventure, as we had not, in fear for sure, strayed very far from our spot. This was the careful plot to reach for gloves and a mask to have a simple day at the beach. My, oh my, life has changed for us, where the thought of fresh air could cause such a fuss. She picked me up in her new SUV, so filled with thoughts that we were free to enjoy ourselves without TV for a change. I had forgotten how blue is the sea, how gorgeous fresh air can be. The sound of the waves, the warm sand on our feet, that a simple escape could be such a treat. Perhaps we have learned a lesson or two, that less is more, to have just a few. Good friends, good health, each day is new. Lessons learned, never forgetting. Life is a gift. Don't spend it regretting. Not a single precious moment.
Bravo. That is so precious and so wonderful and just such a beautiful sentiment.
I have more.
Well, I know you do, but guess what? We want to save those because we want everyone listening to buy your book because you're just a teaser.
I forgot.
Yes, exactly. We have a book to sell here. So, but they are wonderful, and I'm glad that, and I'm sure that everyone who's heard you read these poems tonight is going out right now and buying these books. So right now, I'm going to bring all of your friends back onto the screen, and we're going to have a special toast to you that's going to be led by our friend Jane Goldman.
Carol, I want that scarf. I hear you give things that people love.
I'll take it off right now.
Thank you. I don't live that far away. To everybody, let's lift up our glasses, and I'll try to put mine in here. I don't think after you're reading the poems and what everybody said that I even have to tell people to buy your book, because I think it was all said by your words that are so moving, they're funny, they hit us all, they're so real. And I think just by what you did, by writing it is a lesson for all of us. I just heard on the Jane Pauley show today, they talked about Eleanor Roosevelt, who said the line that hope is the least used word in the dictionary. I think in reading your book, we'll all have hope, and that's how we have to be. And in closing, I know you read your poem, so I won't read it, your last poem with such theatrics, but I will read it because I think it is something that all of us should be keeping in mind. Your poem is called Keep On Going. I am feeling sad. Is it all in my head? Why, in fact, should I go out of bed to live every single minute? You daydreaming idiot. I wish you happy, endless tomorrows. And you wished us all that in your last line of your book. I wish everybody, your friends, your loving friends, me included, you've been a cherished, wonderful, giving friend to me. I wish everybody online endless tomorrows and continued safety and health, and look into ourselves and do like Carol did and find the gifts that we have even in ourselves that will help us thrive during maybe dark days ahead. But you make them lighter, Carol, with your humor and your beautiful words. So a toast to you, and to you, Cheryl, for publishing Carol's book, mine too, and all the women that you represent. It's a wonderful thing.
My honor. Cheers to Carol.
Cheers. Cheers to everyone. L'chaim. I love you and respect you. You all make my life worthwhile. Sorry, Sandra, that we couldn't hear you, but you know what time it is. It's showtime. Bye, everybody. Love you. Thank you, Cheryl.
Well, Carol, thank you. And you know what? We had lost Paxton before, so I'll bring her onto the screen so she can wave to you.
You know what? I don't know what happened, but
I know.
There you are.
Gone with the wind, and I have such wonderful things to say about you.
Well,
and now
you can still do that, Paxton. So let me introduce you. I'm glad you're able to come back in. So
I don't know how it happened. All of a sudden, gone with the wind.
So Paxton Quigley met Carol in the back of a. Let me move everyone back out of the studio, and then we'll be able to chat with Paxton for just a couple of minutes here. So we are glad you were able to come back, Paxton.
I don't know what happened.
So
Hello there.
Paxton met Carol in the back of a shared limousine on the way to a holiday celebration. At the end of an hour's drive, they had become best friends. There's a whole theme here with Carol's friends about they meet her. Really bond with her. Paxton is a best-selling author. Her latest book is Just Try Me. It's on Amazon, and she's the host of a podcast called High Society with Paxton Quigley, which airs on Cannabis Radio. So you're going to be our last, the last of Carol friends to chat with her tonight.
And Paxton, yes. I'm so glad she came back because she's the goddess of cannabis.
Right. Thank you very much. You gave me that title. I don't know how to use it yet, but
what's the difference?
So it is. Right. You know, Carol, the one thing I have to say that everybody has such wonderful things about you. You know, I don't want to keep saying it over and over again.
Oh, you can.
Oh, I can. But a lot of people don't really know what you're like in terms arms when you're walking down the street. And I remember the first time we walked down the street together in New York City, you had on this fabulous hat. And you're one of the few women in New York City that still wears hats. And it gives you such command as you walk down the street. And I feel like a little person when I see the wonderful hats that you wear. And you've been a real good friend to me, and I hope you feel the same way about me also. And of course, I've have always thought highly of you in terms of what you've done with the Actors Temple. It's quite remarkable that you took a temple that's over 100 years old and really was able to bring it back again into the 21st century. And I'm really grateful that you've done that, because it is important to so many people in New York City. And I want to just congratulate you on writing poetry. I remember when you started sending poems out, and I think I even said to you early on, I said, I think you should have a book. You said, no. I said, yes. And so I'm one of your champions, and I wish you all of the best of luck in terms of you having a best-selling poetry book. Take care, sweetheart.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Well, Carol, with that, I think this has been a really spectacular evening. I enjoyed meeting so many of your friends who I didn't get a chance to get to know. And I just want to say what an honor and a privilege it's been for me, not only to produce your extraordinary book of poems, but to get to know you. And we had so much fun. We had so much fun doing this. And it's
I'm like a kid. I'm so excited.
You're like a little kid in a candy store. And I can't wait till we can all get together live and in person and have hugs and kisses and really celebrate. But I want to remind everyone that Carol's book is available on Amazon. You can get it at bookstores everywhere. And it's truly a great read. We all need to laugh a little. We all need to think about some of the things Carol talked about. It will definitely brighten up the mood. And with the holiday season coming up, it is a really, truly wonderful gift to give to anyone. So thank you. And we're going to close out with our little video. And we thank everyone for being here tonight.
Thank you, everyone. I love you.
There. Now you may be asking, which one is the real Carol Ostrow? I've asked myself that many times. Well, we've all gone through a terrible time together through this pandemic. It's been so terrible that we've all been depressed. And in order for me not to feel depressed and to want to slit my throat and my wrists, which is getting a little too dramatic, I would call my friends, and they were going through the same thing. All of us were. So with tears in my eyes, but joy and laughter in my heart, I took a pen and I started writing about my feelings. Some are fun and some are not, but I think you're going to enjoy it. And they make fabulous gifts for Christmas and Hanukkah. But we'll get through it. We'll get through it together. And if you buy poems from my pandemic pen, it may make your life a little easier and certainly give you humor.